going to issue another 22 licenses. That would be 47 sellers. But Jim, let me read you. Of entities that are not medical marijuana treatment centers. So if you want to make this case that they're doing it for their own good, they're actually creating a more competitive market and giving the legislature the clear authority to give more licenses for different things, like, to quote, to cultivate, acquire, possess, process, transfer, sell. That includes individuals if they want to grow. An individual is a license, could be a licensee, could be an entity that could cultivate their own. It's simply not true that this protects and preserves a cartel, which, by the way, a cartel is illegal. They're not illegal. They were signed into law by a person named Ron DeSantis.
Jessica Spencer, totally optional. Do you want to rebut?
Yes.
Okay.
His client has braggadociously said in a Florida Trend article that this would be historic for this industry. They have talked about that this will be Walmart and CVS in every corner. This is absolutely about this industry. You do not spend over $100 million creating a backyard competitor. You do it to create a consumer. And it is very important to understand that words matter, because they use the word cultivate when talking about themselves and being able to grow. They didn't use it when they were talking about individuals. And so to say that we're going to tuck it in under and we're going to have it as an individual entity because we're sitting on all of these licenses, that's a fallacy. The bottom line is they did this for themselves. This is about corporate greed, and follow the money to figure it out.
All right.
And listen to their quotes in the Florida Trend article.
All right. Thank you, Jessica Spencer. Now I'm going to ask you to respond to a quote. This is an excerpt from Florida attorney and marijuana advocate John Morgan. This was taken from an appearance on WKMG News 6, also known as Click Orlando. This was posted yesterday on YouTube. He said, Tallahassee is broken for us. They don't want us to have any say in what we want. So when I look at marijuana, I look at the history of lives. It, referring to criminalization, disproportionately discriminates against people of color and the poor. It was a plant put into nature by God for us, and it works. There's no domestic marijuana. There's all domestic. DeSantis is, stay out of our lives. Go ahead and respond to that.
It's pretty typical, Mr. Morgan, again, about issues that this reform. Absolutely, let's do it. We need this, and it doesn't fix it. When he's talking about ruining lives, what he's often referencing, and every time I have been with him, is he's referencing people's criminal history and how they can't get into college and they can't get into the military, et cetera. This wouldn't fix that. This wouldn't fix that. We're looking at 21 and up fallacy, and it's fear mongering on that side about what the truth is about individuals that are dealing with real problems in their neighborhoods. And let's look at the neighborhoods that are being targeted with this industry and where they're actually located in other states. They are in those communities that we are concerned with, and we want to make sure there is fair and equitable treatment of everyone in our communities.
The father of
Bancourt, do you want
marijuana
to rebut?
reform in Florida is a guy named Michael Minardi, who is a criminal defense lawyer. I asked him what percentage of his cases are for simple possession, and he said between 30 and 40%. The question was asked in an earlier forum today of Sheriff Smith of Baker County, of Bradford County. Does he have anybody in his jail? Different between jail and prison, because I agree with the governor. Nobody's in prison, which is a long jail today, for simple possession. And you're right, Jim, and John was right as well. It's disproportionately targeted towards people of color, and that needs to stop. And this will not fix all of that. And if anybody says we're saying that, we're not. We will not completely get rid of the illicit market. It will not bring to zero. It will not rectify some of the past injustices and the war on drugs, but it's a great first step in saying we'll no longer have some of that disparity when it comes to simple possession. That simple. Wish we could do more, but we were limited to one very narrow subject.
Okay, before Tom goes into the lightning round, I'm going to suggest that we postpone the lightning round because I'm catching a typo in there that I need to fix. So I'm going to ask Tom to go into the section called Question for the Other Side.
Yes, and let's keep these as pithy as we can. Only a few minutes remaining in our forum today, folks. So what is one question, Steve, you'd like to ask Jessica? You get a minute 30 for that, please.
When we pass this, will you work with us to make sure we put those safeguard rails in place?
I mean, I genuinely like you, so
Same here.
I think and that's why we're matching today. I think I would love to work with you, but unfortunately, this amendment's not going to pass because it's not good for our state and it's a constitutional amendment we need to have fixed prior to that.
All right, so we toss the ball back on the other side of the court. What's one question you'd like to ask Steve, Jessica?
I don't even have a question for Steve, so I don't know if it has to be related to the issue or not. So no, I'm actually going to pass. I don't have a question for him.
Okay, all right.
All right, very good. I'm going to check the time, and I see that we have time for maybe one or two more questions. I'm going to ask this. Do you have a personal anecdote about marijuana that helps shape your opinion on this issue? Do you have a personal anecdote on marijuana that helped shape your opinion on the issue? I'm going to ask Jessica, you spoke last, so you'll speak first on this when you have 1 minute.
I think I do. So, well, I know I do. I have several, which it's hard because I have a 24-year career in this. But I think what's more concerning for me, again, is that it's a constitutional amendment. But I go back to my days working in youth detox and adult detox. I didn't think there was necessarily an issue with the potency of marijuana at the time. Or actually, rather, I did, in the sense that I had people still come in and stay in detox. At the time, we sent them to the street. Now that I'm seeing highly potent marijuana products, we are seeing more and more individuals that need to be detoxed, and sometimes it's several days. So for me, I'm very concerned about this product. And again, to answer Mr. Morgan's statement as well, it's from the earth. Well, it was from the earth however many hundreds of thousands of years ago. Now we're genetically engineering and we're messing with this plant, and it's highly potent. So for me, anecdotally, I'm very concerned about the potency of these products and the message that that's sending to everybody in the state of Florida.
Steve Van Coor, you're next.
A little over 2 years ago, I was working with Sheriff Morris Young of Gadsden County to develop messaging to warn people about the dangers of marijuana laced with fentanyl. That was hard to hear him and talk about the families, but what really hit home for me, Jim, was when a close friend of mine called me to tell me one of the people who died that day from smoking marijuana was his brother. And it was 3. There was 9 total that died that day. 3 of them were smoking marijuana. So yeah, that recommitted me to saying, we got to get this stuff off the street where it is being laced with dangerous chemicals and put it into a safe market where it can be independently lab tested so that you get what you think you're getting. You know, when we did this 100 years ago for liquor and beer and wine and spirits, we did it because people were running moonshine and people were dying as a direct result of wood alcohol. They were going blind from illegal, improper additives. We've taken it off the streets. I don't drink, but I respect if you want to, at least you're buying it, you're of age, it's a choice you're allowed to make, and you know there's no dangerous chemicals added to it other than what you're being told.
Folks, closing arguments. Steve Van Coor, let's start with you. You get a minute to make your case, please.
For closing argument, I think we can all agree on 2 things. The first thing is that smoking marijuana is something 1 in 6 Americans already do, but they have to engage in criminal activity to do that. We should agree that that shouldn't be a death sentence or playing Russian roulette with your life. The second thing, also quoting the governor again, no one should go to jail for smoking a joint. I also think no one should go to jail for simply possessing a limited amount of marijuana that was bought through a legal channel. If you take those 2 things, at the end of the day, wipe away everything else, what you're hearing from both sides. That's essentially what Amendment 3 does. And I would urge everybody watching this to please vote yes and get this stuff off the streets and away from our kids.
Dr. Jessica Spencer, your turn.
Thank you again for having us. I'm going to miss Steve when all of this is over. I think what I would want the viewers to definitely pay attention to is that this is a constitutional amendment. And I think Steve brings up a really good point. You don't have to listen to either one of us about it. You just really have to read the amendment and understand what this is truly about. Words matter that are there, and words matter that aren't there. And we need to pay very, very clear attention to civil and criminal immunity for this industry that we already know has problematic additives, has problematic things within their marketing strategies and also with their manufacturing. We also need to understand that our legislature cannot fix the issues that the other side has already admitted by saying they would put bills out there. We are not here to fix their problems. We are here to vote no on this amendment because it would forever be enshrined in our state constitution as is written as the language that we are looking at. So I urge everyone to please read and understand what this means for our state and please vote no.
All right. Thank you to our guests today, Jessica Spencer, Director of Advocacy for No on 3, and Steve Vancor, representing Smart and Safe Florida. We also want to thank our audiences for joining us for this forum. And of course, thank you to WFSU and the Tallahassee Democrat for putting this together.
And you can find a replay of the forum on our YouTube pages, tallahassee.com, as well as WFSU.com. The recorded broadcast will air on Tuesday, October 29th at 11 a.m. on WFSU FM. That's 88.9. So please tell your friends.
And remember, early voting is going on now in Leon County. Of course, Election Day is November 5th. And look for our special election section of the Tallahassee Democrat. It's got interviews with all the candidates on the ballots, on the local ballots, and it is available on tallahassee.com. So for now, for FSU and the Tallahassee Democrat, thanks for joining us. Have a great day.